Hey, it's Orit Krug, and today we're talking about how trauma changes your nervous system and what it looks like today. So the first one is fight or flight. This is an activated sympathetic response. Fight is when you get really angry, you snap, you yell at your partner for leaving the milk out on the counter. And just an example, it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Why did I just snap? So being angry and frustrated is normal. It's a normal, healthy human emotion. But when you're constantly snapping and reacting, especially over things that may not really warrant that, I mean, I'm not here to judge that, but you may feel that way, like that was so stupid. All they did was leave the milk out on the counter. Then that is a really sure sign that your trauma is still affecting you. It has changed your nervous system wiring, and now you are impulsively reacting in this fight response. Alternatively, in the sympathetic response, you could be reacting in a flight response where at the first sign of conflict, you get in your car and you drive away, or you leave the room and you shut the door. So you avoid and you flight and you run away. Maybe you threaten your partner to break up when you have a fight or when there's a first sign of conflict. You are threatening to flight, or you are even just imagining getting away, which can help you cope and help your nervous system believe you are surviving this danger that's happening, which is the conflict. Those are the two ways, the blood rushes to your limbs, the energy goes to your arms, your legs, you're getting ready to run away, you're getting ready to fight. And even though you may not actually physically do those things, those are the functions that your body is going through, and it takes a big toll on you. The second response, or the second way that your body changes, is that it goes into a freeze response. So if we think of, where we used to live, hunters and gatherers out in the wild, when there was a predator and we couldn't fight this predator, let's say it's a tiger, we couldn't outrun this tiger, then we have to immediately go into a freeze response. So this is a more severe response than fight or flight. And what this does for us, how this helps us survive, is that we tense up, we freeze, our muscles get tighter and tenser, and we're less appetizing to eat. So maybe the tiger won't want to eat us, and it'll move on to the next prey. Of course, this helps us survive. We're not in these situations anymore, but if the threat and the danger feels this intense, if a sight or a sound or smell, which is, we remember our trauma in sensations, if it triggers your old trauma, then if it feels that dangerous where we can't fight or flight, that's just not going to do anything. You're going to react in the freeze response. And it's kind of like being a deer in the headlights. If you've gone into a fight with your partner and they're like, hello, can you speak up? And you're like, you just can't say anything. You just can't move. That's like the freeze response. Number 3 is you shut down. This is the most ancient nervous system response. It's like you're there, but nobody's home. You may black out. You may not remember what had happened when you got into some conflict with your partner. And this is like when animals play dead. So when we can't outrun, we can't fight, we can't even survive by freezing and tensing up, we have to play dead, because this tiger is not going to want to eat a dead animal. That's gross, right? So this is what we do still to this day when the danger feels that severe. Many survivors of sexual trauma still do this because, they have no choice. They had no choice. For example, when their predator came into their room and they could not escape, they're helpless, they cannot do anything. They have to dissociate from their bodies. They just have to kind of play dead, because that's the only way they'll really survive. It's the only way they can tolerate the situation, is by not being there. And so you're like basically dead inside. And that helps you cope with the trauma at the time. And later on, it doesn't help you, because when you continue to react in that way, you're continuing to perceive, more like your nervous system is continuing to perceive, that the danger and the threat is this serious where you have to play dead. And so those are the 3 ways that trauma changes your nervous system. And you may experience a combination of all of these. You may have your dominant nervous system response. Either way, your wiring is now faulty. Your primal body and your brain, parts of your brain, believe that the danger of what has happened in the past is still happening today. It can't distinguish between your partner showing up around the corner in your kitchen and someone coming into your room and violating you. And this is not just sexual trauma. This is physical abuse. This is emotional abuse, which can in your body feel just as horrible as sexual trauma. And there's no hierarchy. There's no, oh, my trauma is not as bad as this person's. Your primal body and your nervous system does not discriminate. It does not put it in, a level of what's worse or what's better or comparisonitis. It all feels terrible. And people who even have been bullied for all of their lives in school, even if they grew up in a really perfectly great home, can also have just as a faulty nervous system wiring. You need to rewire your nervous system if you want to get back to normal, if you want to feel normal, not be triggered and scared and push away relationships, push away the love, or attract really unhealthy relationships as well. So if you want to talk more about that and understand how your trauma has been stored in your body and how to break the cycle of continuing to react in these nervous system responses, then I'd love to have a chat with you. We'll book a relationship review where I'll help you create the steps to heal your trauma, rewire your nervous system, and create the lasting, loving relationships that you want, instead of trauma continuing to take over and sabotaging it and essentially blocking love from your life, not just in romantic relationships, but in friendships and otherwise. So if you're interested in talking, click on the link above, below, or to the side, and we will have an obligation-free chat. All right, until then, can't wait to see you.